the pick is in.
Is it?
We are waiting to see what it's going to be.
As I attempt to get the Bears graphic done because because of Mr. Ted McMillan that happened to screw it all up because we were planning on these, and because it's been chalk most of the way, had most of them prepared. But yeah, look, I think overall, like, let's see what do we have here.
So the pick is in.
Pick is in. It's probably.
Oh my goodness.
Oh wow.
Oh wow. So, ladies and gentlemen, would you like to make the announcement? Kieran?
They have picked the tight end. It is just not the tight end we thought it was going to be. It is Colston Loveland. And what's funny is I mentioned this on our draft show 1 day ago or 2 days ago. Jeez.
I am in shock right now. I am in legit shock. We're going to take a second to kind of gather all the information we can. We're going to get some stats for you. We're going to do some fun stuff for you. But I think this was... I asked for one thing. I asked for one thing, Kieran.
Yes?
Don't overthink it. Don't reach. Don't find a project. While Loveland is going to be a good tight end, the consensus number 1 ranked tight end was right there for you. Now, while this may just be nothing and they found the guy, they found the best tight end in the draft. Once again, it feels like to me, Ryan Poles, and if you want to include Ben Johnson in this, felt like they were the smartest guys in the room and that they knew something that none of us knew. And they went with Loveland. Your initial thoughts, as it was a tight end, not the tight end any of us thought it was going to be. And it was a Michigan player, just not the Michigan player we thought was going to fall to them, as the Chicago Bears at number 10 have made their pick. What do you think?
Well, I will say this, right? Like, we brought this up or what day was it? 2 days ago on the live show, where if the 3 offensive tackles go, if Genty goes, if Mason Graham is gone, like, what did the Bears do, right? And let's just say they weren't. One of the guys I did mention was Colston Loveland, and the reason for it was because the Bears, or everything with Ben Johnson, like, Loveland matched back to like what you like what they had in Sam Laporta, right, over in Detroit. So that's where it makes sense. Where it's just a surprise is that it's not been the guy that people have been talking about. It's not been the guy that, in all like the mock drafts, which, look, they don't matter, but it just seems like the consensus guy. And it'll be interesting to see where Tyler Warren goes. Like, how quickly does he go off the board? If he goes off really quickly, well, then maybe are people thinking that, is there a little bit of a mistake here? But to a point, you have to put some faith in Ben Johnson, because like, he's the one that's saying what players fit his offense, right? Like, they obviously would have been looking at these guys, and that's what they've gone for. So I will say I'm happy that they haven't moved in the draft and they still have all their selections, especially with this. But yeah, it's a surprise. Look, we'll go into it. We'll start talking about exactly what it is, but let's just make it official. So with the number 10 pick in the 2025 NFL draft, the Bears select tight end from Michigan, Colston Loveland. So we talk about a guy that can kind of stretch the field, a guy that he's going to be able to score touchdowns for you. He's good. Look, at the end of the day, if I look at even the top available here, he's in my top here. So it's not like he's completely against, like, it's not a crazy pick. It's not like you're going picking someone that everybody was expected to be like 35th overall. Like, for me, Colston Loveland was one of those guys that was really highly rated. I did a mock draft yesterday on live, and he lasted till the second round, but I picked him because, again, I think he fits really well. I think you're at a point of where you're looking, I'd say their group of players that they really, really liked were most of them were probably gone, and they're picking the one that's at the top of that list. And they obviously wanted to add a skill position player to this offense, and that's what they've done. Is it a surprise? Yes, it's a surprise because it's not the name we all expected, but it's a player that they brought in here that, look, it's a guy that will be productive in the offense. We've seen similar players, like I said, Sam Laporta for the Detroit Lions. It's not going to be your typical top 10 pick, I don't think. I don't think it's going to be like your absolute baller where you're like in year one is going to put up 1,000 yards, for example. But he's going to play a very important role. You hope that he's going to be able to cause mismatches that's going to allow him to be able to be kind of like Sam Laporta and score a bunch of touchdowns for you, be able to stretch the field. We mentioned that we probably needed another receiver, and this is just that guy in tight end format. And it's closer to what you see. It's closer to what you see in what we saw from Brock Bowers last year. More of a hybrid receiver than a pure kind of your tight end like a Tyler Warren. And look, it's an interesting selection. I did not expect it. I thought that it would be Tyler Warren. I thought that based on all the information that was out there, Tyler Warren was the top guy. But I wonder if him not coming in for a 30 visit put them off. And yeah, very, very interesting. But yeah, overall, it's a pick that didn't expect, but in terms of the position makes it make sense, I think.
Yeah, and like I think that's my initial reaction isn't on the talent. Like, I think the scouting report is beneficial for the Bears. I think this is a very talented player. He's got a lot of the attributes. He's going to be able to be an impact player for the Chicago Bears. What I don't, and I guess this is just more of a me problem, but it's just kind of the thing, the stigma this Bears team has constantly kind of had, and it's the surprise moments that, oh, that's a nice player moment, but that's not the guy we all thought you were going to go for. That's not what the consensus was. That's not what we all believe you probably should have went. Can this work out? I think the reason you paid so much money for Ben Johnson is to trust in not only his scouting, but that he will be able to find the best out of these players. And you still are giving Caleb Williams a position of security, a security blanket on top of Cole Kmet.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I think is more, I think this really says they were really in on Genty. More than anything, it was never really Warren. It might have been some of the offensive linemen, but it really felt to me that as the draft was going on, they were betting on somebody either jumping over to get high enough where Genty would fall, or that he would naturally fall. But I think for Ben Johnson, it was either the Genty pick or best available. And he got to the point where this is who they had higher on their depth chart. This is who they had higher as a tight end. And I can also give him this. Tyler Warren is going to have expectations much more than Loveland. There is going to be much more of an expectation for Tyler Warren than there will be for what the Bears just did. And you have to start asking yourself, why is Tyler Warren dropping? There were plenty of teams that would have been more than happy to have the quote-unquote best tight end in the draft. Why is it that we're out of the top 10 and he has not found the team?
Yeah. I'm just trying to see here if it will actually download for me. 1 second. I'm just trying to get Dane Brugler's his breakdown of Loveland, because I know I was reading it the other day and it was an interesting read. So I'm gonna pull this up here.
And while you're doing that, yeah, and while you're doing that, I think there are some like Austin is writing in on our chat with the question marks. That is the sentiment, I think, for a lot of people. If you love ball, right? If you watch college football, if you watch the Big Ten, if you're somebody who does a lot of the scouting or reads a lot of the mock drafts, Colston Loveland has been on the radar. He has been somebody that is a good player. This is a good tight end. In the beginning of the draft season, that I think Colston Loveland would be the first tight end picked and be a top 10 draft pick after seeing how the draft kind of broke down? No. But one of the things that we've been preaching here is once the pick is in, the pick is in. It doesn't matter anymore. Now all that matters is how he plays, how he develops, the impact
how he fits.
And I wonder if the scouting report, and you've read of, you've been looking a lot of it, you've seen a lot of reporting on it. But wow. I'm interested to see how that plays out. What do you got?
Number 11, 49ers draft Michael Williams.
And they've needed some who I thought was probably going to go earlier. I thought he was really in play for the Chicago Bears as the draft went on, as the picks started coming in and in. San Francisco is in desperate need of trying to refigure that defense. I think Bosa is not going to be there anymore, right? One of the Bosas is no longer there, or was that Joey who left the Chargers?
Joey left the Chargers. Just to go on Loveland here. So I'll do the summary first from that Dan Brugler sent. So he said, a 3-year starter at Michigan, Loveland was a versatile tight end in head coach Sharon Moore's pro-style scheme, lining up primarily in the slots of 46 or 47.6% of the time, and the inline/wing 32.5% of the time as a junior. From the moment he arrived in Ann Arbor, he was one of the most talented players on the roster and made an immediate impact in his first 2 years, including as the Wolverines' leading receiver in the 2023 National Championship game. His final season was marred by injury and below average quarterback play, but he still led the team in receiving in 9 of the 10 games he played and set Michigan records for the tight end position. With his speed and ball skills, Loveland can line up anywhere on the field and win as a quarterback-friendly, multi-level receiving threat. He isn't a liability as a one-pop get-in-the-way blocker, but will struggle to sustain or control NFL edge defenders. Overall, Loveland doesn't have the skill set for a full-time inline responsibilities, as EJ has been saying. But his dynamic movements, natural hands, and football awareness should make him one of the primary targets in an NFL offense. His tools and upside are reminiscent of Zach Ertz.
Yeah, if you tell me right now, 5 years from now, that Caleb Williams is throwing to Colston Loveland, who is this generation Zach Ertz, I'm happy. Like, of course, like, I will take that. Who cares if you pick them at number 10? It's the same. It's the thing that you've been preaching. Who cares where you pick them if they end up working out? If they're a great fit and they're a great talent and your head coach get the best out of them, then it doesn't matter. I think that's a great scout report. There is still something to Bears fans and I think NFL fans tempering their expectations of understanding what the talent pool is and where a player was selected. You have to get over the fact, and I'm putting myself in this, that this was the 10th overall pick. In other drafts, this might be a second-round tight end who is still a baller, who still does massive damage and could be an impact player. But because in 2025, the way the draft talent was just shook out, this is a top 10 talent that arguably could have been as high as 10 or could have been a top 20 pick, but was in that range. It's not crazy. It still seems like, and any of these players, right? They're all projects still. I guess, and we could take from examples that we've seen from Detroit, but this almost seems to me that it's a real glimpse into how this offense is going to run. I think they're going to try to be physical, but I think they're just going to outskill you. I think they're going to go out there and just try to outball you. There's a ball up in the air that Caleb threw. I'm going to be able to jump higher than you. I'm going to be more physical than you. I'm going to get hands on this. And when you think about talents like Roman Dunze, DJ Moore, and now bringing in Loveland, I can see the attractiveness if you don't believe Tyler Warren is that dude.
To a point, like, I will say that it's very obvious Ben Johnson's trying to replicate what he had in his offense with the Detroit Lions, right? Like, he's built up the offensive line to a certain point, and then what he's done now is he's brought in the tight end like Sam Laporta is, right? Like, that's what they're trying. It's very obvious what they're doing here. So now the next step is, if you're going to continue to build on that offense, you're looking at maybe another left tackle, or maybe you're looking at another left tackle, or you're looking at a running back. You mentioned it. Maybe they trade back into the first round and try and get Amarian Hampton. So again, just the officials, the 11th overall pick is Michael Williams, defensive end from Georgia. So that means the Dallas Cowboys are on the clock. So it'll be interesting to see where they go.
I see a lot of people, and this is from text messages I'm getting. This is just kind of the sentiment from some Bears fans and some confusion, right? Because again, for people like us, who there's more knowledge beyond just because a lot of people just see the mock draft, see where their players going, and a lot of people only saw Tyler Warren, Ashton Jeanty going to the Chicago Bears. So this is a name Bears fans are going to have to become familiar with. But a lot of it is they're wondering why 2 tight ends now, having Cole Kmet and having Loveland. And to me, a lot of teams in the NFL run 2 tight end formations, have schemes that involve 2 pass catching tight ends. Sometimes you have the one who is a great blocker and just allows the other tight end to chip, to block, to try to get out on a screen. Like, there are plenty of opportunities for your team with 2 tight ends to really make an impact. And I think they do different things. If you were to look at the scouting report of Cole Kmet and look at the scouting report for Colston Loveland, they're not identical tight ends. They do different things. They bring different attributes to the Chicago Bears. Like, if I were to ask you, who's more likely to have an acrobatic catch at tight end, Cole Kmet or Loveland? Probably going to say Loveland.
Yeah. Definitely.
And if you're thinking, though, who's more of a stable blanket, I need 7 yards, he's going to catch the ball and stop right there at 7 yards, you're looking at Cole Kmet. So I think if you're looking for a rookie quarterback, that's a perfect safety net for him, is having 2 sure hand tight ends.
Yeah, there's a couple of interesting tweets I've seen. One was about the Indianapolis Colts. Apparently, the Indianapolis Colts were very interested in Loveland and would have picked him at 14. So that's very interesting. And then another one of the guys that I've kind of looked at. So Andrew Danahy, who I think is he with the Bears blog? I can't remember which one. But he goes, I came onto Loveland very late. He reminds me of Travis Kelce. His flexibility is impressive. He is 6'5", but can get low for passes. Catch radius is incredible. Didn't run a 40 like all Michigan players, but player tracking had him at 21 miles per hour, so maybe 4.55-ish range. Again, very interesting. Like, the main thing is, as long as he's healthy, it's the shoulder. So it's going to be those medicals, but I would say the Bears have the medicals.
That's always been one of my concerns when I was giving my thesis of what I wanted to see from Ryan Poles is medicals are so important. We saw how it almost impacted Carter, right? Like, we see how important it is for these teams to know if they're going to be able to count on you, if you're going to be on the field more than you're going to be on the sideline. In the top 10, the guy that they went with had an injury that he's recovering from. And it's and I don't want to say it's just something that I've seen a lot of from Ryan Poles, and I saw a lot from Ryan Pace, is assuming that a player's going to bounce back from injury and be the same caliber of talent that they've always been. This is a young stud, right? So he's going to recover fast. Players are always injured in the NFL. All these dudes come in and have some form of injury. But it's interesting to me that they've got a guy who's freshly hurt, not somebody coming off of, it's not like the year they won the national championship, right? Like, if that year comes out and he had the game that he had and he's from the high of Michigan winning and being their leading receiver, okay, you can see that. I think it's just such a thing I would like to hear, be a fly in the wall, to hear how they handle medicals, what they deem to be serious injuries, what they deem to be acceptable for them to be able to be patient and take their time. A shoulder injury for a tight end is not a good injury to have. Not when you're doing so much blocking, not when you're chipping, not when you're having so much contact with defensive linemen and linebackers. Like, that is a red flag.
The one thing that I want to hear about a little bit later when the interviews when the interviews happen is, did they bring him in? Did they work him out? Was he because he wasn't one that was reported to be brought in? I'd like to know if that was the case. Again, just a reminder, Tyler Booker has gone to the Dallas Cowboys. I know Zach Martin retired, so that one makes a little bit of sense. But again, very, very high for Tyler Booker. But still, again, this just goes to show at this point, you're going to see guys that teams just want them to fit the system. And that's what we're seeing right now. There's like Michael Williams going to the San Francisco 49ers. You then see Tyler Booker going to the Dallas Cowboys, right? Like, you're going to see guys that very similarly to some of these guys that people are expecting to go late in the first round or early in the second round, and they're going to get picked earlier. If I were, what I'm hoping for actually is that some of the players that maybe the Bears might covet could potentially fall to the end of round one, and maybe they do trade up. You have 2 second round picks. It might not even cost like a major trade up, really. So we'll see. It might just be like a pick swap in the second round that could do it. So that could be an interesting one to see what ends up happening. But I think this makes this draft very, very interesting because there's still a lot of good players out there. Like we're on what now, pick 13, and we haven't seen someone we were talking about in terms of Tyler Warren going like 7 is still out there. So like, why? Like, that is always going to be the question. Like, why is he still there?
It's going to be a question in his NFL films, whether he's good or bad, right? Like when we look back in history and we're watching NFL Network, we're on YouTube, and they're talking about the 2025 draft. It's him and Shedeur Sanders are the 2 big names that were at one point top 10ers. People were projecting multiple teams to be in on, and not either one of them has been picked yet. And we have seen a tight end go. We've seen a quarterback go, and we have not yet seen 2 of the top recruited, scouted tight end and quarterback go yet. And it's not going to happen with the Dolphins. If you're looking at the Colts though at 14, that might be where Tyler Warren go. What did you see on the socials?
The Dolphins
did what?
They picked the defensive tackle Kenneth Grant from Michigan.
Wow.
This is what I mean. These guys, like the players that you're targeting around this point are going to be similar players that teams are going to target at like 25.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
so is that why you believe though that that was almost the reason why there was no trade down, that we haven't seen any more activity?
No one's come up, like, think about it, since that point. No one has drafted an offensive tackle, which is a position that teams trade up for, and no one's drafted a quarterback. Those are the positions teams trade up for. So that's why there's been I'd say they didn't get good enough trade offers. Like, think about it. The only trade has been the crazy one that the Jags did, and that's because they blew the Browns out of the water for their trade, right? Like, so like, there's a reason why that trade happened, and none of the other ones have, because teams probably don't want to trade down because they're probably not getting a lot in return. So, like, if let's say the Bears, the best that they were getting was like a 4th round pick, like, you may as well just stick there and pick who you want, right? So like, especially if they had a feeling, right? Like, let's say they had a feeling that the Indianapolis Colts wanted Loveland and he was the player they wanted, they may have not have wanted to go past 14. So those are like, it's going to be very interesting if the Colts end up going for Tyler Warren, because that would kind of match then with what people were saying in terms of them looking at Colston Loveland.
So this is from Daniel Jeremiah, his projection on Colston Loveland. He had Denver picking them at 13. I believe Loveland is highly coveted by a bunch of teams, and it seems like the Dolphins would like to add more draft capital. Sean Payton has never been shy about being aggressive. The Saints traded up in the first round 4 times during his tenure as head coach. If he wants something, he usually goes and gets it. the signing of Evan Ingram would not preclude Denver from making an aggressive move for Loveland. And we obviously know that Denver was in a lot of talks, right? Like Denver had been in a lot of talks to
Maybe
move
that's
up.
who they were going for.
So I'm wondering, like, again, why is Tyler Warren and Shedeur Sanders not picked yet? I mean, we've known for a few weeks why Shedeur was going to drop. I mean, we talked about it in production meetings weeks ago that Shedeur was going to drop. Tyler Warren is surprising me. And the fact that he's still available, and I think for Bears fans, that's going to be the name. There's two names Bears fans are going to always be associated with in our own minds: Genty and Warren. Loveland is the pick that's made, so they will be compared, literally Loveland and Tyler Warren. But Genty will also be the dream that never was, right? The that never was close to the
I think it was very obvious Genty was the guy they ultimately would have wanted, but again, to a point, like, you don't want to overpay. They obviously, maybe the teams were asking for too much, and they look at the draft and like, we can find another player. Maybe he's not going to be the exact same quality as Genty, but like just as good, right? Like, or to a point can have a similar like impact, right? Like there's going to be a lot of guys, like, let's say what if no other running backs are taken in round 1? Well, then you start round 2 and you could easily get the pick of the rest of them. Or maybe, like we said, maybe you do trade up and maybe you do go get a Marion Hampton if you want to get him as well. So it's going to be very, very interesting. So obviously the last one there that we had was the Cowboys. So we'll throw up the official one for the Miami Dolphins. So at 13, they selected Kenneth Grant from Michigan. Again, this was someone that EJ mentioned as someone that he preferred over Mason Graham. So interesting to see what they do there. That they've done that. So we're at the Indianapolis Colts right now.
So I have some tweets if you want to kind of go through this for a second. Zach Pearson and Patrick Finley both tweeted out this. This is Zach Pearson exactly. Quote, "We feel good about it. Jeff King on Colston Loveland's shoulder, and if he'll be ready for training camp." Patrick Finley had the same. This is from Eric Gelko. "New Bears tight end Loveland was our number 2 player in the entire draft class after Hunter. He's just a notch below Brock Bowers as a prospect, and he finished as the 2nd highest graded tight end I've ever graded. Great value at number 10. Awesome fit with Ben Johnson." This is from Shrine Bowl and the director of Shrine Bowl. And I'm just going through it. So there is, the people in the know are very complimentary of this pick.
Okay. So Courtney Cronin says Colston Loveland had a shoulder injury in January to repair the AC joint in his right shoulder. Jeff King said that he does not anticipate Loveland's rehab limiting him from training camp. We feel good about it. Jeff King on the usage of Cole Colston Loveland, being able to mix and match those guys. Cole can do a lot of different things as well. Bears Senior Director of Player Personnel Jeff King says Ben Johnson was pushing for a lot of guys.
All right, so let's leave the awesome people with this, okay? Here are the strengths of the new tight end for the Chicago Bears. Capable of running the entire route tree over all 3 levels, wins quickly versus press and eludes redirects in space to keep patterns on time, good feel for leveraging defenders out of the break point, able to snap off speed cuts at a crisp angles to separate, bounds over coverage and snatches the ball over his head, which is something that you and I are really high on a red zone threat. Speed and athleticism to mismatch linebackers in coverage, which is something that I think Cole Kmet doesn't do. More of a statue that this dude can break the coverage of the defense. Agility and body control to control and contort in midair to make catches. Quick, sticky hands with inexpensive catch radius in all directions. Talented runner with good vision and change of direction. Grips tight and runs feet to stay on his block. Gives good effort and strength to seal the edge when he has the advantage. Quickly, weaknesses, routes, lack speed, variances to set up the defense, inefficient footwork, getting into his breaks, average play strength for contested catch battles, inconsistent working hard back to the throw, will get ragdolled at the point of attack by NFL power, runs into second-level targets but won't get many wins, missed time with injury in 2024. Source tells us he is not the total package like Tyler Warren, but he has the type of talent where he could become one of the focal points of an offense, an NFC executive quoted. So from what I read from there is a very talented tight end, a talented player that has the potential to unlock even more of his potential with a great offensive-minded coach. And just like anybody, has a lot of things to work on. But the things that he needs to work on, he can do in the NFL. He can develop in the NFL.
The interesting one is, it's not like he's coming in here to be the only tight end. Like, you can have Cole Kmet be that inline tight end. And he's going to be more of actually just getting him out into space and being that safety net for when things break down, that he's somebody that can get open. You get into the red zone and he's a problem. Like, those are the type of things that you want to be able to look at. And you want to be able to add. And look, at the end of the day, that's what Detroit used Sam Laporta to do, and stretch the field. And that's why he was so good for them. And yeah, like, you've got to hand it to them. They're trying to build an offense that's similar enough to an offense that's going to be similar enough to what he was able to build in Detroit, or get close to it. So again, not surprising. I like I'm liking what I'm hearing overall. So let's see how it goes.